All right, guys, welcome back to actually the season finale of Rooted and Rising. And I'm very excited about this episode because I'm joined by two dear friends who also happen to be an incredible couple. They're both doctors, they're both Nigerian, and they're both doing amazing things in the world of medicine. I've actually known Oge for about 20 years now. So it's actually such a joy to
It's up to time.
yeah, like we're old anyways. But now you're a wife and a mother and a doctor and you're doing all these wonderful things. And of course, with Obi, you guys are sharing, not just the life, but your seems like you're on a mission to like continue to uplift others and heal through your work. So I'm excited to have you guys here. So if you want to do quick intros for each of you, feel free.
Thanks a lot. So extremely humbled by this introduction, honestly. I was just in my brain, I'm counting the number of years that we've known each other. And we actually did meet like when we were nearing the end of high school, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. During the college tour phase,
College
looking
tour,
for
yeah.
where to embark on the next 4 years of those fantastic
Yeah,
period of
exactly.
our life. But I'm Oge and this is Obi. What will I say about myself? I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. Born in Surulere, Lagos. I moved to the States when I was
Yeah,
about
to tell us the actual city.
13 and a half, Surulere.
The finest detail.
No, but I moved here when I was about 13 and a half and began high school in Atlanta. And then, like I mentioned, as our senior year in high school is when we met. We
Okay.
didn't end up going to the same college, funny
No, we
enough.
didn't.
We did not. We almost did,
Yeah.
but we still continued the friendship and camaraderie. We kept in touch. I think we invited each other to our school's respectives.
Yeah, we
AS.
would have like ASA events, but we can get into that. Let's let Obi introduce himself.
All right.
We'll get-
Oh, I thought there was more introduction. My name is Mmagu. I was born in the United States of America. I was born in the state of Delaware.
Why can't you be born in Nigeria? Why do you have to say your body?
I can't choose how I'm born. You have to ask God. You
But
you
like,
Yeah.
you have to ask God. But it's despite I grew up in Delaware, but my parents both Nigerian, born and raised in Nigeria. My parents set up everything in the sense that I'm still in touch with my roots. So even though we're quote diaspora, we were all four of us, my two older brothers, one younger sister, we're still very grounded. So
mhm.
it's almost as if we were raised there in a sense. Yeah. So it was a great experience in my childhood. We're very blessed, to have the childhood that we have because that's unfortunately not the case for many
A
individuals,
lot of
as we
people,
know.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So I grew up in Delaware, and then I went to University of Delaware for I was started with high school. Went to a Catholic high school, all boys high school, Salesianum, 4 years, and then University of Delaware. And then after that, went to medical school.
Mm-hmm.
So, people identify, physicians, doctors as MDs, but in fact, I am a doctor of osteopathic
Oh,
medicine.
you're a DO.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm a
Yeah.
DO.
Okay.
So, essentially the same as an MD, more or less at this day and age, but we also do, what's called osteopathic manipulative principles, including therapy, treatment, of disease with the hands, as
Mhm.
well as traditional medicine. So we're getting both at the same time.
Okay.
So that was a great experience for 4 years. Then did internal medicine training
Mm.
in North Jersey. That was for 3 years. I spent a lot of time in New York, lived in North Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. No,
Then it's
yeah,
Why do
there
you have
was
to
a
do that? Because
yeah,
okay, like okay,
and look, I am not claiming that Jersey is the fifth borough or what have you. There's still four boroughs in New York.
before we get into the whole medical things, I kind of want to start from the beginning, right? So you've kind of
Okay.
talked about your childhood, Obi. So I want to dive into that and also Oge's, but in to just kind of see maybe where there's similarities and where there's a bit of difference. So obviously you're both Igbo Nigerian, but Obi were born in Delaware, lived in Delaware. My understanding of Delaware is that it's very Caucasian. I might be wrong, but that's
You're
my
you're
that's my understanding
you're
of,
right.
and I know you said your family was very like intentional about making sure that you knew your
Mhm,
roots and all those
mhm,
things. So maybe just talk a little bit about like what was some of the like what was your childhood
mhm,
like, and what were
mhm,
some things that your parents did to make sure of that.
mhm.
And then okay, I'm gonna ask you kind of a similar question.
Of course, great question. It's what I said, but to build on that, just as you said, trauma, it is a very Caucasian
Mm-hmm.
state. I would say about maybe 85%,
Mm-hmm.
90% white. So, most of the time, because we didn't spend too much time in public school. Most of the time we spent in private schools. So I was the first. I was the only black kid in the majority of the grades, majority easily. Maybe there's like one or two other black students, but I was usually the only one, and it's just one of those things that you just get used to. Is cool, but that was one of the longings that I've had as a child, is that I wanted to see people in the classroom in any setting to
That
look
look like
like
you.
me, to
Yeah.
share my values. So, but I don't regret my experiences. God put me there for a reason, and that's just how all four of us grew up. And then in terms of my parents, making sure we're grounded. So one of the things that people stay grounded is food.
Mhm.
So I grew
Yeah.
up with, we're four. So my mom, in many ways Nigerian woman, right? So
Yeah.
she would do Nigerian female things, which is to cook Niger food pretty much
Mm.
every day. Things.
Don't let me enter my feminist bag, and you just said Nigerian female things are to cook. Well, anyways, continue. I get what you're trying to say.
Hold
I get what
on,
you're trying to
hold
say. I
on,
get
wait a minute.
it.
Now, what I mean is in terms of era. My
Yeah.
my mom
Of
grew
the
up in a
era.
different.
Yeah. Time.
That's what people
Yeah.
did. Now, of course, that's a different story in 2025. More women are getting a paycheck, and
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, all that kind of stuff.
Don't
I,
mind
I
me.
get all that. That's
I'm
fine. I love feminism. So so it's true. It's true. So yeah, so that's what Nigerian, women did. That is, people,
Mhm.
Nigerian, women who grew up in the 50s, 60s, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful thing in its time because it helps to keep the family together. Of course, opportunities are different now, but what I meant was back then. She would cook all this Nigerian food. My dad would assist her, from time to time because he was always out doing,
Okay.
working. My dad would leave at like 7:30 in the morning. He was
Mhm.
a self-employed pharmacist,
Okay.
and so, but prior to that, he was employed, but he would go to work at 7:30 in the morning, come back home at 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. at night. And on more than one occasion, probably almost every day, he would fall asleep on the couch before he
Mhm.
would have his dinner. That's the life he lived.
Mhm.
And and then the other thing is events. So Niger events, going out to events in the DMV,
Yeah.
Philly, New York, things like that. That was, multiple times in a month. So we
Did
would
you guys
get
go
exposed to the
home as well?
culture
Did you guys
that
go
way.
back to Nigeria as well?
Yeah. So during my childhood, up until I guess to about, in my teens and stuff, we went to Nigeria like four times. The first time in 1997, second time '01, third and fourth time 2004 and 2005 respectively. So we've been to Nigeria. We knew Nigerian diaspora. We hang out with them. They play in our house. We play in their
Mhm.
house. So even though we didn't have the same experience in Niger, but we had like an Americanized version, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it was a great experience overall. So.
Okay. That sounds good. So, okay, I feel like maybe you and I may have had similar journeys, but let's talk about you. What was your childhood like in Surulere and
Yeah,
growing up? I know you're the only girl, so we can talk about that too. So go ahead.
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you hinted on, I'm the oldest of four. I
Hmm.
have three brothers. I'm the only female, the only daughter of my parents. Both my parents are in the medical field, and that was what kind of inspired me to look into going into healthcare as a
Yeah.
profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad actually trained in the United States. He did his pharmacy schooling and got his MBA in the Midwest. And
Wow.
then upon leaving the Midwest, moved back to Nigeria,
Hmm.
in hopes of setting up his own pharmaceutical company, which he did. But the thing I think about Nigeria at the time, and which I would say is still kind of prevalent today, is just that lack of infrastructure that can
Yeah.
really help one have sustained business,
Yeah.
and he didn't work in oil company or anything like that. He was just everyday man, just
Hmm.
out there trying to make something of his degree.
Hmm.
So around the early 2000s was when he came upon the opportunity for us to move to the States through the H-1B visa
Okay.
process.
Hmm.
So that was a relocation process. I'm sure, don't come for me out there, please. The people who know this very well, but it was the process of relocating a worker to the United States, and it was one who had already schooled here. So since my
Yeah.
my father had schooled here, gotten his degree here, he
Okay.
was able to sort of get the equivalent of that, back when he moved into the United States from Lagos. So myself and my three siblings were all born in Sulere. We
Okay.
all, grew up in the same compound. I went to Fountain
I
Nursery
like
School.
how you
Shout out
said
to Fountain
compound.
School, my Fountain School
Oh,
alumni.
you
So
went to Fountain for primary school. I didn't know that.
yeah, I went to Fountain
Yeah.
Nursery and Primary School.
Okay.
And then secondary school was at Lagoon.
Yeah.
So I did about 3 years in Lagoon. This is when they were still in Sulere. They hadn't moved yet to the campus in Ajaleki. It was when they had moved, was when we had moved to the US. And then, I mentioned high school here, Brookwood High in Atlanta. I graduated from Georgia Tech 2010. So class
Yeah.
of December 2010.
Yeah.
And then did my medical schooling, not right away, took some time off, but did my medical schooling in Des Moines University Osteopathic Medical Center, which was what it was called at the time.
So you both did osteopathic medicine.
Well, let me clarify. So,
Okay.
Osteopathic Medical Center, in a sense that it was a school that was under the comm unit, but there were several different departments. So, I actually trained with the College of Podiatric Medicine and
Oh, I
Surgery.
see. I see. I see.
Yeah, my first 2 years, we did the same courses with all the DOs. So, anatomy, physiology, cell bio, biochem, etc. Those pharmacology, the second year, those first two
In case
years
you
of
guys
the
didn't know.
didactic was with but when it came down now time to us like separate into our specific disciplines, as Obi rightly mentioned, the DOs are known for that principle of OMM, the osteopathic manipulative medicine. Like
Yeah.
I even though, I took classes with them, I couldn't get into that because that was not my degree.
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
still had to take those, and we took our foundation principles in pediatric medicine and surgery. I forget the exact name of the course, but it was taught by the dean of our college, Dr. Yoho. And that was when we really dive into the birth and the rise, of pediatric
Yeah.
medicine as a
Okay.
discipline in the US. Because
Okay.
as Obi said earlier, a lot of people in the public, when they hear the term doctor or they hear you're a physician, they
Yeah.
automatically assume that you're
Yeah.
MD.
Yeah.
But there's so many different routes that one can take towards getting that medical degree. We went through 4 years of schooling. Like I'd mentioned, my final year, our last year, we did externships. So that was when we traveled literally across the country, rotating between different hospitals. So my first externship, I was in Chicago. So I drove like from Des Moines straight to Chicago. I was at the Cook County system, the VA hospital there, then at Wise Memorial. Then from Wise, I drove all the way to DC. So I was at HU for 1 month of a rotation there. Then after that month was done, I found myself at Chestnut Hill Hospital in Northwest Philadelphia. Then from then on, I was in Scranton for
So
3 months.
So you were in the same Scranton. Well, Scranton is Pennsylvania, right? Or is that
Yeah,
Delaware?
in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's Pennsylvania. Okay, okay, cool.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It
it's
was
interesting. Like I didn't know you did all that kind of going
mhm,
around, and that's interesting. Okay.
in my rickety Honda Accord. God bless that car, 2002.
Yeah.
That was a rugged car.
How many when that
I think by the time that we finally sold that car, it was
million miles?
210,000 miles. And it
Wow.
was
Okay.
still roaring, like it was still going. That
They
engine
say
is a
Hondas
beast.
don't. The Hondas
Shout
don't
out
die.
to Honda.
Yeah,
Well,
shout out to Honda.
this is
Not
an
this is not
advertisement.
sponsored, okay? So let's
Yeah.
not do too much of that. So I do want to maybe ask a question here because it sounds like you both had early influences that kind of nudged you towards what you do, right? So you had your parents. I see some similarity. I think okay, you kind of mentioned that your dad was kind of into pharmacy. You
My
said
mom, sorry, is a
mom as well,
physician too in
exactly.
Nigeria. I forgot. I left that out. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and then your dad, Obi, was also kind of in the pharmacy field as well. So there's some similarities there. Do you think that those are the influences that nudged you into medicine or service?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. I'll go for it's my dad was a pharmacist was he's late now, God rest his soul. He was a pharmacist, and my mom is a PhD in education, so she's a teacher.
Okay.
So in my case, yes, that was, by watching what my dad did, all those, trips to the pharmacy to help out because it was essentially a family business. My dad's self-employed pharmacy. So I was exposed to patients at an early age, but I just had a love for science and I was good at it. And this starts like at the basics, like, like the little test tubes and plant biology, the human body, all the kind of basic sciences. I just loved it. The idea that you could, figure out, discoveries in the world. That was just very appealing to me. But my wife and I, also we're very religious people, Christians to the bone. So that was just
Hmm.
sort of a way to understand God's plan for the world and the universe, right? So that was an appeal to me. And, I've had some personal challenges, medical challenges,
Yeah.
when I was a kid. Um, I don't know, maybe at some point we'll elaborate on
Yeah,
that.
we
But
can elaborate it. Or you can elaborate it now if you want to. Yeah.
yeah, so I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed at the age of 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So immediately I was entered into the medical system at a very early age. So I've had, surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, all of
Wow.
it. And it lasted, a decade plus after.
Oh, wow.
So when I was a kid, it just sort of seems normal, even though it's
Mhm.
not. And so just going in and out of the medical system, in the inpatient world, in the outpatient world, phone calls, front desk person, all of it. So
Mhm.
that was all in my mind. So just, coming from that, recovering from that, that really put me into the medical field as a permanent career to really, because, now I'm on the other side. So I'm the provider taking care of ill individuals. And, whenever when I walk into that door, I have a sense of what patients are thinking about, not just, what they're feeling, but what they're
Yeah,
thinking,
like the
whether
fear.
a provider, physician is going to
Yeah.
be taking care of them, because medicine is a very personal, if you're meeting someone for the first time, they don't know you from anybody. They're
Hmm.
entrusting you with very private information. Some of these patients don't even tell their wives or husbands or,
What's
or
going on? Yeah.
parents, but they're telling you.
Yeah. That's
So yeah, these are the things that kind of motivated me to do what I'm doing, and every day feels like, it was God's calling. So
Yeah. So, okay, wow. Like, first of all, Obi, like, thanks for sharing that. I think that's such an important piece, not just to your career path, but just obviously probably shaped who you are as a person as well. Okay, do you have a similar, or like not similar in the same sense, but like, what do you feel, or like the values that nudged you into doing what you do?
into medicine.
Yeah.
I think my earliest memories as a child of what inspired me to go into medical field was actually through my mom.
Hmm.
Definitely my dad based on his career path, but my mom, she did her medical schooling completely in Nigeria. She trained in University of Nsukka and became a hematology consultant. So she was working as a
Yeah.
hematologist at Lagos University Teaching Hospital in
Oh,
Idi-Araba, I believe is the
yeah.
location.
Yeah. Yeah. Idiaraba, yeah.
Yeah, Idi-Araba, Lagos. And I remember as a kid, like as young as maybe when I was 7, 8 years old, on my summer vacations, my mom would, as the oldest, I don't have much to do. Okay, great. She'll take me to her library, to the library at Luth. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
actually my first exposure to a medical library system was through there. And I remember just being in awe of like all the books,
Yeah.
that smell of, old books and of seriousness,
Yeah.
Uh, And funny enough, like as time went on throughout even my secondary school years, when I was studying for my finals, I would ask my mom if I could accompany her, if she could take me to the library at Luth,
Hmm.
So, and then my brothers caught wind of what was going on. They didn't want to feel left out. So she would take one or two of our brothers with us.
such a
Yeah.
nerd.
Yes. That was my very first exposure. And even when I was going through school, by the time I got to my senior year tech, I was like, gosh, I didn't know what I wanted to do
Hmm.
specifically in healthcare. Like I knew I wanted to be involved in healthcare, but I was like, should I consider nursing, pharmacy like my dad?
Yeah.
Uh,
Thought about
medicine,
nursing. Wow, because
I thought
back
I
then they were
explored
like doctor, lawyer,
everything.
engineer. Nobody even.
Yeah, these are still people that are part of the
No,
healthcare
I
system,
agree. I
right?
agree. But
And
I just feel like
nurses.
growing up, no
Mhm.
one really used to say, I want to be a nurse.
Sadly,
Sadly,
sadly, but
definitely,
it's
sadly.
interesting you said that because my mom is actually a nurse today.
Hmm.
Upon us moving here, she considered being like an international medical graduate. At that time, and I don't know if that was the case then, but now I know there's like an IMG route where
Hmm.
as an international medical graduate, you can go through some routes and steps that will make you eligible for, competing to get a residency slot in the United States.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
when we came here, we didn't come with much, right? It was
yeah.
just my mom, my dad, 4 children, right?
Hmm.
All under the age of 14. I essentially had to actually step into a third parent role as
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
as the only girl.
Yeah.
So when my parents were out there, trying to bring bread back to the house,
You
my
had to
dad was out there.
babysit, take care of your brother.
Babysit, cook, I mean, clean. I was the
Yeah.
chef, I was the nanny, I was the lesson teacher.
They would say they were preparing you for motherhood, right?
Mhm.
I guess so.
Yeah,
That was, I know, it was,
so
yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful for those experiences. I don't think I would really change a thing because it forces you to mature. It
Yeah.
forced me to
Yeah.
grow up quickly. and know that, these brothers of mine, they're my responsibility when my parents are not around. So I had to step into that role. I mean, when they come back from school, I don't want them to go hungry. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, my brother Buchi, grab your homework. Let's go over this. Let's do that. Let's go over this quiz, things like that. And I like to think that I had some hand in like their educational pursuits and who they became as adults today,
Yeah,
as
of course.
young men.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think that's important. Even though it's not even like really, really related to medicine, I think for me, when I think about doctors, I think about caring, about service, patience, and those are probably things that you learned from being, a third parent to your brothers and having that exposure to what your mom was doing as well. So that's really important. I want to shift.
Oh, so
Yeah, go ahead.
one real quick thing. It seems like it's unrelated, but in a sense, it is. If you know the Latin phrase for the term doctor, what does it mean? It means to teach.
There you go.
So,
Indeed.
the life lessons there is it's all about teaching, and it sets you up for medicine. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. See? Okay. All right, so let's shift a little bit to you guys. We're not gonna talk about medicine right now. Well, maybe it might come in. We're talk about love and partnerships. So I want you to tell us your love story. How'd you guys meet? What were your first impression?
We look at each other.
Like,
When you tell it, the story is too short. When I tell it,
I'm
the
gonna tell
story
the
is
story
too
this
long.
time around.
Okay. Tell the story the right length that it deserves.
So how did we come to know each other? So I'd mentioned I went to school in Des Moines. My roommate, my first and only roommate that I ever had while I was doing my training, happened to be a good friend and a colleague, I believe, of Obi's back in PCOM, the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So upon finishing her master's, she moved into Des Moines. I moved into Des Moines. We met in August of 2012. God, it's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
And, upon her learning about my roots, things like that, she was like, oh, I happen to know a lot of Nigerians. I have this one particular friend, his name is Obi. He's Igbo, just like you, born in the States, unlike you, but you're Igbo, he's Igbo. You can both be Igbo together. Then she set up a phone call, a three-way phone conversation between the three of us where she introduced us, briefly. Had no idea who he was at the time. He had no idea who I was. To be honest with you, I don't even remember the nature of the conversations.
It was just like introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you see, he remembers. Okay, do better.
It's a memory of an elephant.
Yeah. Even though it's not like I remember everything.
The conversation, we just like, I think we're getting ready to head out to some event or something. I was going out with my roommate.
Yeah.
It might have been Funny Bone, like comedy show or something. Yeah. So we hung up and that was it. And for the next 5 years, we did not speak to each other. Like honestly, not
I
a
remember
text.
I remember coming to visit you in New York, and it was not Obi that was in the picture at that time.
No, it was not him at the time. Okay,
so yeah. Okay.
Silly enough, right? We fast forward to 2017, almost 5 years after we initiated our conversation, and I finally meet him for the first time at my roommate's graduation. She graduated a year after me. And I met him, we met each other, I should say, in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I was seeing somebody at the time, and that person happened to come with me to the graduation party. But I saw Obi, I was like, Obi, I spoke to like way back when, I shook his hand, so okay, nice to finally meet you, to put the face to the name.
Wait, when you met her and then you like, this girl's a baby, like, oh, what?
Yeah, so it was funny, right? So it was funny. I mean, I couldn't do that too much because at least not in front of her.
Oh, because she was she
had a man right there. So I had to be slick, right? So that was when we met, I was about to leave for Ohio for cardiology. So I was gonna leave, that area, well, the East Coast in 2 weeks. It had been there for a year. And there meaning the East Coast, she was Sinai there since 2016. Oh, me and the friend who was graduating and Oge were talking, and then all of a sudden Oge is looking at, our friend who graduated, like, why didn't you tell me Oge, myself, was in the, in the picture for about a year? Because I was obviously there in 2016. I was finishing up my last year of internal medicine. And Oge is like, oh my goodness, why didn't you tell me he was around? Because maybe, we could have been, hanging out and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, okay. So when listen, so when Ogie stepped away, like she's me. That's literally what I that's literally what I said.
And clearly
I
you
said,
were,
and
because
my friend was like, "What are you
children
talking
later.
about?" I was like, I said, I just know. I just know.
Yeah.
And then that was like the first instance of like, maybe there could, but yeah, we were just platonic
Okay, you know,
friends,
in
no sense
circles.
at all.
Sometimes you don't need
Yeah,
to exchange numbers in Nigerian circles. Sometimes it's like this
it's
person will know, like,
subtle.
yeah.
It's very subtle, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that later on that same year, I think the following month or 2 months later, we came with our same mutual friend
Mhm.
to New York because both of them were in Dayton, Ohio at the time for
Yeah.
their respective residencies. Came to New York for the One Africa Music Fest, which was in Coney
Alright.
Island that year.
Yeah.
I think they hold it in Coney Island about every
Yeah.
August. As God will have it, like I was on call at Sinai because I was like in my this was 2017. I had just started my second year of residency. Our
Mhm.
program was a 3-year program at Mount Sinai
Mhm.
in Manhattan. And they squatted in my rinky dink flats.
Hello,
The
that
same that little 244 square foot,
yeah.
a little box flat. The bed is here and the dining table
Wow,
is
they
here.
stayed there. That's so okay.
He stayed in the futon, and then Kinis and I shared the same
Yeah,
bed. And then, as God will have it, I was on call that evening, but I didn't get paged for any serious cases, which was great. I
okay.
just strapped the pager to me,
Yeah.
texted somebody in like a WhatsApp UIU Umu Igbo Unites,
Yeah.
the Igbo Millennial Group Forum that was in
Yeah.
the Tri-State chapter. Somebody happened to have a ticket that they were willing to sell to me, sharp,
Oh wow.
because they couldn't make it to the concert for one
Mhm.
reason or the other. So then I ended up hanging out. The three of us were hanging out, enjoying each other, enjoying our
Mhm.
company, enjoying the concert. It was an amazing time. And then it
Mhm.
was from then on that we forged like a group of just the three of us on WhatsApp, which we still have
Oh,
to this day.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's when it.
Yeah, so
so
we used to
that's
just
kind of
keep
where. So
going.
was it from the concert that it kind of kicked off? Like there's
No.
Funny enough,
There's more to
no.
the story.
okay.
Fast forward to April 2018.
By that time I was single.
Yeah, I was sort of I guess between exes, if that's the thing. I had a lot going on. I had a lot going on. So
Yeah.
this was April 2018. One of her best friends was getting married. She wanted me
Okay.
to be her plus one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the bridal party.
Yeah,
The
and then
wedding.
we kept delaying the conversation. I didn't want to say yes or no yet because I already knew what my
See,
answer
I don't
was
like
when I
this
was
thing,
trying to
Obi,
figure
that
out.
my girl was just constantly putting out the
Yeah,
signals, like, look,
Yeah.
and you were busy
yeah,
doing stuff like that.
Didn't
That's
take
not.
yeah, I
That's not
didn't.
cool.
I was like, oh, nice. Oh, I was like, because you're a friend. I would not answer the question. Yeah, and then all of a sudden she's pinning me down. I was like, are we doing this or not? And then I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
I told okay,
You
no.
said no?
I said
Yeah.
no.
For me
I
that.
Oh,
declined it.
okay. For you,
I
I will
didn't
be
tell her
showing
the
him pictures.
reason.
Wow.
I just had a lot going on, and I was just like, you want none of this.
Yeah.
You want none of this. So
Which is
that
fair.
was, I mean, so
Which is fair.
that was then fast forward to
God's time.
God's time,
Yeah.
which is the meaning of her name. Fast forward to December of 2018. That was when we were still friends-ish. Our friendship was kind of dwindling by the end of that year.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Why
know
was
that,
it dwindle? When I asked you to be my date for a wedding and you said no.
yeah, it was just
Life.
like
Your
I
life
was
too
deep
much.
into my fellowship
Yeah.
in cardiology. It was a lot.
And I think I was
Okay.
I always knew
exceptional
I'll get to be an amazing individual. I didn't want her into my mess, my ex's mess and all
at the
that kind of
time.
at the time.
Yeah.
So fast forward to December 2018, we were still sort of semi platonic friends. We were just talking about life, how's everything going,
Mhm.
and then whenever I would hear Oge's voice on the phone, whenever I would just absorb just her awesomeness, her wisdom, it would just sort of rekindle my feelings for her. Really, I can't really explain it to you. I don't mean to sound like corny or
No,
once. I
sound
don't mean
like
to.
it. We
It
yeah.
is what it is. I can't explain it. So then that was when I had to, but yeah,
Yeah.
I had to
Let his
commit.
intentions
So
know.
I had to let my commitments known because I knew Oge was getting a little tired of this. But
Yeah.
also, if I did want to pursue this, I want to pursue this with 200% of every fiber of my being. So one of my boys was getting married in Houston, Texas, February of 2019. I really wanted a plus one. I didn't want to go by myself. So
When you
I
have said
asked
no.
Oge. Yeah, I know.
Be a good.
I know.
It's your turn. I will
Many,
tell you that.
yeah, many people would have said touche, deuces, go away. But but prior to that, and along with that, I was like, I'm very serious about what you and I could be on a more than friend level, that kind of thing.
Because that was my thing. Like, if you're going to invite somebody to a wedding, right?
It can't just be what we are.
Thank you. I'm like, so what are we going? Are we going as friends?
Yeah.
Are we going as a couple?
Yeah. And I'm like, as a couple, like
Look at my friend. Okay.
yeah,
Like,
which would
okay.
be awkward, exactly. So I'm like, let's do this.
So that's when I now said, okay, to myself, I said, self, this guy is being like serious. Like there's definitely more to this. And then this was also towards the end of my time at Sinai. I was wrapping up residency. I was flying to California for a fellowship interview, took a bus up to Pennsylvania, St. Luke's, past Allentown area for like their derm fellowship there in our field. So there was a lot going on for me, but at that point in time too, and again going back to like God's timing, like hey,
it's all about timing.
It's all about timing. Like I told myself, like maybe if we had started something serious a year ago,
It worked out. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. Would have fallen apart completely. And then we would have definitely gone our separate ways and maybe wanted nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
But the timing, I think, felt right for both of us to where we said, okay, you know what? Let's give this a shot. And I really had to come to the Lord in prayer. As Obi hinted, like I'm a deeply spiritual person. Part of that spirituality is what actually led me into the medical field as well. In addition to my parents' influence, like I had to bring everything to God in prayer at that point. Like, you've got me this far in my career, so let me put this at your feet for you to do, make of this as what you want this to become. Like if you want this to work out, I know it's according to your will, and if not, then so
on that point in terms of timing, and this is what I alluded to earlier when I was describing my upbringing, okay, as well, just in terms of how people used to be back then and how it is now. There's no blueprint in terms of what we're doing, in terms of finding a partner, dating, juggling everything together. Ogi and I are both working professionals. It's really, really hard. There's no, play-by-play blueprint. Oh, this is what your daddy did. This is what your mama did.
Yeah.
We are in uncharted waters. And this speaks to like a bigger issue. This is, we're now in 2025, but even back then in 2018, we just had to do it. Pre-pandemic, we just had to do it, because it's hard. We're working, we're busy, and it's very easy to say, we don't have time for this, and I can just imagine how many couples that try to make it work couldn't. Not because, there's something wrong with him or her, but
somehow
it was just a timing issue. But somehow, miraculously, we just did. So back to the story, we went to Texas, and we were in that wedding. I mean, congrats to my boy and everything. But we came to that wedding. And, going back to the pictures, just looking at the picture, I do that from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't know how Ogi felt, but when I was in Houston, Texas,
like this, okay,
with this woman, with this baby right here, I knew I was with my wife.
Oh,
that was it.
Okay,
Those who go.
that
was it. Enough. Period. When a man knows, he knows. So
later on that year,
we
went to
were official
Atlanta to ask for my dad's hand.
December 2019.
So that was when we were quote unquote engaged. But then we got married during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was a pandemic.
Because, like I said, timing. I said, if we don't do it now, when? This was when the world has shut down.
Yeah,
Things were not happening.
Y'all probably saved a lot of money too. So
that part.
Because I was like, if we don't do it now, when?
Yeah,
and we knew so many people who wanted to get married that year
and had to postpone it.
For the obvious
safety,
reason.
medical reasons.
2020, we by the grace of God, we
prayed about it. Yeah.
And to our knowledge, and if we know anybody out there that did get sick, please let us know.
I was there. Did I get?
Nobody.
We did like an informal survey.
COVID, we had to put all those measures in place.
The mask and things like that. But even still, I mean, medical professionals, masks.
No, I'll say that those masks that we had at that wedding, that was not stopping no COVID. It was like it was like a little fashion mask.
Yeah, with the shield. Yeah, I did not imagine a wedding like this, but it's not. It's not.
No, though. When it comes to even crowd size,
beautiful event.
How many people called us and turned down the invite last minute? And I was like, thank you, Lord, for turning this down. Because the average Nigerian wedding, right? You're looking at on average what?
400, 500.
That
is if everybody shows out.
Modest number.
That's even modest.
We had like way less than that.
Mhm.
We had, I think, under 200, I want to say.
200-ish.
And I
Yeah.
was still like, oh my gosh, the night
Yeah.
before, like, what if and what if and what
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful how everything just came together. I mean, both our parents were there for that
Yeah.
occasion because
Mhm.
towards the end of that year, we lost his dad.
Yeah.
Like, I lost my
Yeah,
father-in-law.
that's true.
And
That's
this
true.
happened to be the last
Yeah.
family event
That
he
was the
Yeah.
attended
last, yeah.
alive, you
one.
know.
Yeah,
And he had some, you know, my dad had, severe, advanced dementia by that point. So, but he did have cues where
Mhm.
he sort of was aware of his surroundings. I
Mhm.
saw him on more than one occasion wink at me. There's that story of
Oh.
when,
Yeah.
my dad, shed, multiple tears.
Her daddy
And
passed.
if anyone knows who my dad was, he's a very jovial,
Mm.
happy-go-lucky person. He tells a
Mhm.
lot of jokes, funny guy, but serious to the bone and very
Yeah.
religious to the bone. But
Mhm.
I'm glad it turned out that way, and it was more of
Very.
an exclamation point in terms of we were at the right time, at the right
Yeah.
moment at the right time.
Yeah, yeah, that's wow. Okay, that's a great story. So I want to talk. I really like. Wow, I want to talk about your individual personalities. How do you guys complement and challenge each other sometimes?
Mm.
Mm. We it's in many ways, Ogi and I have so much in common, but our differences are our differences. So, I'll speak to this point just in terms of our social personalities. Like I'm
Mhm.
more of a
Extrovert.
happy-go-lucky extrovert. I call myself an introvert extrovert, but I'm probably more of an extrovert than an introvert. So I like to go out. I like to, see what this person is doing, that person is doing to a fault. To a fault,
Mhm.
but it's just how I was when I was a kid. But Oge
It's
is
like
more.
yes to a fault.
Oge is more of I want to kind of Netflix and chill a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of want to
Especially
kick
with
back.
kids
She'll reach
now.
out to everybody more than
Yeah.
me, but she does it in an introvert type of way. So
Yeah.
we run into that, all the time, and I think it's cute. I think it's great because then
Mhm.
whenever we're trying to go out, Olga's like, wait, maybe we should rethink this. But then
Mm.
whenever we're like, well, maybe we should just kind of relax a little bit. I'm like, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of challenge each other in that respect. I'm not expecting Oge to all of a sudden be on my side
Like
being
you. Yeah.
I'm not expecting to be an introvert, like
Mhm.
my wife.
That's how we complement each other.
Because when you're married, it's all about keeping your essence
Mhm.
and allowing men listening to this podcast,
Mm.
allowing women to make you better, to make you a better person.
Fuck that, as they say.
Okay. If your partner is not making you a better person, you have to
Relationship is
rethink that
important.
relationship.
Yeah.
That is just a fact. And we're not even talking about married life, having children, etc. It is so essential. And
Mhm.
in more
Yeah.
ways than one, Oge makes me a better person.
Oh.
I say that all the time. And
Okay,
it
Obi is
just
beating you when it comes to this romance, so let me just tell you now, but continue.
I'm a Taurus. I don't know. I don't know. But no, it's real. I'm, speaking entirely from the heart. So that's just one example, and there are other examples and things like that.
Find everything that he said.
Get
That's
into
like
that.
life, right?
Mhm.
There's a yin to a yang.
Yeah, yeah.
If you really go into that, the Chinese, it's Eastern,
One
Chinese,
of
yeah.
them,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
symbol.
Mhm.
Like you said correctly, I consider myself like a homebody, especially
Mhm.
after having children. We have 2 kids now.
Yeah, because you weren't always a
You
homebody.
know,
Before you had kids, me and you used to
we
be
party. We
Yeah.
were party. We
we
were
used
out
to be
there.
outside.
Yeah, we knew how to paint the town red. But I think as time went on, the role of being a wife and then the role of being a mom, being
Mhm.
responsible now for 2 little human beings.
Mhm.
3.5-year-old daughter, 17-month-old son.
Mhm.
Most days I'm home. I'm done with work. I'm like I'm chilling. I'm chilling
Yeah.
home. I
Yeah.
look forward now to Netflixing
Yeah.
at night more than I do to, let me put on this nice dress and let me go out and
Go
and,
Mhm.
and
anywhere.
see
Yeah.
what's out
That's
there.
fair.
Yeah.
That's
I've
fair.
never really suffered too much from FOMO. Like I
Yeah.
guess this is
Yeah.
just my thing. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, but that's how we complement. But like you said correctly, we also drive each other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Obi's about health and fitness, and so I really got into exercising
Mm.
more and working out more because of him.
Oh, wow, okay.
He's as a cardiologist, like he really practices what he preaches,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're preaching health, heart health,
Mm.
you get out there, get your 30 minutes of exercise or
Mhm.
what have
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
He puts his money where his mouth is.
Mouth
So
is, yeah.
I try to I try to keep up with him in every arena, every aspect of life, but
You're doing a great job.
he's a bundle of energy. No
Yeah,
amount of
well,
energy
yeah.
can match this
I
guy's
remember
energy.
I remember when I still lived in the DMV, and I remember one time I was trying to go out. You're like, "Oh, Obi's always going somewhere. Just like tag along with him." And I remember like he and I went somewhere together, and like he was like, "Yeah, just go with him. He's always outside."
Yeah, this
Okay.
one we're in DC. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like that you guys, even though there's some differences, you kind of find where the fit is. I think that's important. Do you think that you guys being in similar professions makes your relationship easier or harder?
Absolutely.
Oh,
1000%.
Yeah.
We both understand each other. Those late
Mm-hmm.
nights, you're out, he's, at the hospital, he's rounding, he's
Mm-hmm.
reading echocardiograms, he's doing this and that. Like, because, we've all walked those streets before, especially through residency. That was the beauty of going through that kind of training. You see what each specialty has to bring to the table. Doing 2 months with internal medicine groups, doing a month with gen surge, doing 2 months with vascular surgery, plastics, etc. Like, when you are now married in essence to medicine or married to somebody who practices a form of medicine, that life, there's never a question of, oh, honey, why are you out late?
Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
that is with other people who are not in the same,
in the same
Yeah.
field,
professions.
yeah.
Yeah, that's because
So
they don't understand it. It's kind of
Yeah,
like,
they don't get any. You
yeah.
can explain it until you're blue in the face.
yeah,
Mhm.
If you don't have those experiences, you will never understand it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a plus.
yeah. And when we come home, he talks to me about his patients, and I love the stories he shares with me about his patient. Like, you can really tell the kind of compassion that Obi has for what he does, like his, dedication to patients, like seeing them through different illnesses. He'll tell me this guy was on this medication for this and that. I had to stop this, oh, hey, babe, I was, paged about this guy, compensating in the ER. This one had a massive heart attack. He'll actually
Wow.
go through like EKG strips with me. So, like, I'm learning so much from him, and why his field matters and why what he does matters, because I mean, I'm grateful for what I do, but I consider my stuff
Yeah.
more
So
limb threatening.
that
You lose a leg, you
yeah.
still
So
survive.
that's so
You lose your
so
heart,
speaking of
that's a different story.
that's all
Right?
true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and speaking of complementation,
Yeah.
Oge is a surgeon.
Yeah.
So she has really good hands. My hands are bricks. Okay, my hands are
Why do you
just
wait?
not.
What when you say your hands are bricks, are you saying that like you don't use them as much in surgery, or
Yeah, I'm just not skilled in that department
okay, okay.
as Oke is. Oke is a surgeon, a foot surgeon. She has those experiences of stitching and suturing and all those kind of things. I'm more of a medical imaging guy.
Oh, I see.
That is one example. It's definitely true. Oke, obviously she has stories as well.
Mm-hmm.
About I did surgery on this patient, this and that. This
And
is a
I've seen
care
pictures.
that the patient used. So
Yeah.
you got those pictures too. But there's always a story, a story behind a
Yeah.
lot of these, images and things, and hearing the fine detail about the care, some of these people used to get versus now. Like, there are some patients that come to me like, this is the first time I feel like I'm being seen.
Yeah.
Compared to my previous provider.
Yeah.
We lose ourselves in the nuance and science of it, the medical of it. Oh, this is heart failure. This is, cardiac arrest, blah, blah, blah. But everybody has a story.
Yeah.
People in different ages. Someone could be 18 years old, someone could be 88 years old. So the artistic aspect of medicine, and I have my own views in terms of we're in fact losing it as technology advances more and
Yeah.
more. But that's another,
No,
story.
that's not a podcast topic.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. I think that's good to know. So let's maybe shift to another conversation around parenting and your identity as individuals. So you all have mentioned your parents of two children. You have a 3.5-year-old, who I used to say was my bestie, but I don't know if she remembers me anymore, but that's fine. And a 17-month-old, but super cute, super, super cute. But how has becoming parents changed you individually and as a couple?
That's a great one. That's a
Yeah.
good show with the pow.
Yeah.
Extra questions. Yeah. I see. Yeah.
I mean, it's really opened up.
Life-changing.
It's been life changing. Opened
Yeah.
up a different world that we didn't even know existed. Like, you don't know how much your heart can carry love until you have your own children.
Yeah.
When we had the first, this was just after the pandemic, actually, about a year after. It was October 2021. And I just remember going, wow, so this is what moms out there have gone through, And now came the question of how do I juggle being a mom and working, working full time. It's a job that never ends. It's a job that never stops. For me, and the way someone put it for me, I'll never forget, is it's a full-time job on top of a full-time job, And then we went ahead and said, we're going to try this one more time.
Yeah.
And then right before Valentine's Day of last year, we welcomed a baby boy. Very grateful to God for that. Those two people are the most precious human beings in the world to us, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing life without them.
Yeah.
But can hear one of them screaming in the background. That must be OC.
Yeah.
But it's just now it's now a matter of like, how do you do life together, raising kids? From the minute you get out of bed in the morning, you're getting them ready for daycare, you drop them off, you go about your day, you pick them up,
Yeah.
you come back home, dinner, and then it's like rinse, repeat, the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
it's easy to kind of lose yourself in the
Yeah.
mundane, like the day
Yeah.
to day, but it's little things like, Uju now, our daughter, and the vocabulary of like, wow, like it's like
Yeah.
expanded
Yeah.
and blown out of nowhere this year. So now you're now seeing that, oh, okay, we have to also be very mindful
About what
of
you
what
say.
we say.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And what we do
That
around
part.
this,
Yeah.
because that mind is still forming. It's
Yeah.
a sponge. It's absorbing everything. It's absorbing mommy and daddy's emotion. If mommy comes back from work and she's cranky, she's tired, I try to ensure that I'm not that the kids are not getting a sense of what's going on, because kids can pick up on emotions very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So, Obi, do you agree with everything Oge has said?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Because, parents are big echo chambers to kids. The kids spend the first 3, 4, 5 years of life just absorbing,
That's the thing.
Mhm.
whether to your knowledge or not. The things that people do, because people are in front of a mirror all day,
Yeah.
that they do that they don't pick up on, that your kids get to pick up on, and they'll
Yeah.
just say it back at you. You're like, wait,
Yeah.
what? I used to. Those nuances are important. Um, Oge mentioned something along the lines of, changing is when kid is born, when you go through the experiences of childbirth and raising kids, parents change themselves in a
Yeah.
way that maybe I wouldn't have known until I saw it.
Yeah.
And
To
and
experience
I
it.
change in
Yeah.
ways that I don't know until I see it. It's really hard to explain.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to come with the day to day. It's very easy for people to, kind of post pictures online as like, oh, I'm carrying my child, X, Y, and Z. Here's this meme,
So
ha ha
cute.
ha.
Yeah.
But it's the day to day. 2:52 a.m. Your child is crying. What you gonna do? It's 3:23 a.m. Your first child is crying, and your first child wakes up your second child.
Mm.
What you gonna do? You
Yeah.
know? Oh, by the way, you have 24/7 call the next day, and you didn't
Yeah.
sleep the night before.
Yeah.
God forbid one of
That,
us.
yeah,
That's so
that
good.
that is what
Yeah.
parenthood is. That
Yeah.
doesn't make its way on social media at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one talks about it, and because it's hard to video that and frame that and even talk about. So
Mhm.
that's where you really see your partner. That's where you really see who this person, man or woman, that you have married. That's when it shines, and people are able to deal with that. And unfortunately, people are not able to deal with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm speaking as a guy, we need to step up.
Mm.
We need to step up.
I have to
What do I
clip this.
mean?
I have to.
And in 2025, we are not doing enough. What do
Yeah.
I mean? We think that child rearing is a woman's responsibility.
Yeah.
We think that keeping a house clean is a woman's responsibility. Back to my point about that's what our parents did.
Right.
That was that era. This is
Yeah.
2025. There's no reason why men can't pick up a broom and sweep the floor, take out the garbage, change diapers, bath your kids, read to your kids, put them to bed. A man has a brain, 2 arms, and 2 legs. So that all those things matter because, I feel like women and, Olga can, agree or disagree. There are many things, I would say most things that a woman feels that they cannot communicate to us for whatever reason. There's a lot of unspoken things. If a man is out and doing his own thing without lifting a finger to raise
Yeah.
kids, that's a
Yeah.
problem. She may not say this is an issue, but physically and spiritually, she's going to feel angst. We don't want that in a young couple. So
Young couple,
so
exactly.
those are things I had in my mind before we decided to go this route of having kids, raising kids. Are we perfect in that? No. We're human beings, just like everybody else. Where we fall, we get right back up. Okay, this is what I did this time. This is how we fixed it this time. X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
wanted to
And I
mention that
think
point too.
and I think you said something earlier about how there's no like blueprint or kind of
Mm,
yeah, there's no blueprint to this. So you guys are kind of figuring it out as you go.
yeah.
You said
Yeah.
course correcting and all those kind of things
Mm-hmm.
are important. You're both, I know, Obi, you're not an immigrant in that sense as Oge is, but you're both children of immigrant parents. And you know what they say about our immigrant parents. The online kids have lots of stories. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, are there things that you're doing differently than your parents did? And then are there
Yeah.
wait, let me finish. And are there things that you are intentionally preserving as well?
Mhm.
Like that.
That too.
Yeah. In terms of doing things differently, when you're looking back on your childhood, you're reflecting on, what made you who you are today,
Mhm.
Our parents are not perfect human beings.
Yeah.
We're not perfect human beings. So, my parents, I'll consider them as like the role models for how I parent. But
Mm.
then in several ways too, I also try to see what things I could do a little bit differently. Maybe
Mhm.
there are things that I didn't appreciate growing up that I'm like, okay, maybe I can switch it up just a little bit, a tad
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
Like the disciplining part is one. No,
Yeah.
I need not say too much
Mhm. Mhm.
about how we were
Luckily,
disciplined.
Yep.
luckily, I grew up. My mom was not a physical person.
Yeah.
More of a talker.
Okay. A talker. Yeah. But, I mean, there are just some, I will call it almost draconian measures
Yeah,
that were
but
used back
in
in.
school, you get
Ex
to deal with that in school.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, so I try to be cognizant of that, especially when I'm, disciplining, I
Yeah,
guess, toddler.
be some
Just
form of discipline, right?
yeah, like for us, a timeout is not going to really cut it. I'm sorry. Like, no, timeout, go to your room. They're timing out for what? You have to really like sometimes I'm scolding her. I crouch, I almost get down on her level,
Mhm.
and I'm scolding her sternly, but I'm also letting her know why. Like,
Mhm.
why is it inappropriate for you to open the front door
Yeah,
and
that's
run out
important.
into the street or run out into
Yeah,
the park without
yeah,
telling mom and dad because it's
yeah,
dangerous? You always have to bring it in, reel it in, and give the kid the reason as to
exactly.
why. Yeah. A friend of mine put me on this book, which I'm still making my way through. It's called Raising Good Humans. And you can
Mm,
get it now like it's an audio book. I listen to it audioly as I'm driving to work. And it has been really as far as foundational principles for parenting, that book is bar none to me.
yeah,
It's a great book. Yeah, I was reading it, I think, by it's a mom for sure, mom of two girls. The co-author, I think, is a psychologist. And it's just such a great book because they do such a great job, like almost giving you as a parent the instructional manual for how to
yeah.
raise kids well. Because even the author herself would tell you that when she was being brought up,
Mhm.
there were things that she didn't appreciate that she wants to hopefully not pass down as she's raising her two
Yeah, yeah.
So
And I like that you said the book is called Raising Good Humans because I listen, I'm sure you listen to the IMO podcast with Michelle
yes,
Obama and her brother.
great capacity.
Yeah, and they always say that their mom, who I believe passed away like a year ago or
Yeah.
so, but they say that
Mm,
she used to say she's not raising children, she's raising humans. Or like,
hmm
so basically like your kids aren't going to be children forever, right? They're going
That's
to
the thing.
you have to
Adults.
yeah, they're going to be adults. So you're raising like adults, future adults. So it's like, what are the values and like things you want to teach them? Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've talked about differently, and then there's, I guess you're preserving kind of the respect
Yeah,
pieces.
structure.
Obi,
Religion.
Definitely.
what about religion? So Obi, what about you? Are there things that you want to add?
Yeah, in terms of differences, again, part of it has to do with a different era, but men weren't present as much in terms of raising kids. They were always out working in the field and in the corporate office, come home at night. By then, all the action is done. The kids are asleep.
Yeah.
My dad was no different. My dad will come home barely even in the 9 o'clock hour, like I would say 10, 11 o'clock PM every single night. Whenever my dad would have a day off, it's like, whoa, daddy, has a day off. It was a big thing because he was always out. He was always, putting bread on the table, food on the table, right?
And so so is it that when he's at home, you're like, what's this man doing here? Who is he?
Yeah. It was a cool thing. It's like, dad's around, we like all get to play with him and
Yeah.
have fun with him. And every young boy, young girl always wants their fathers around.
Yeah.
They always want their dads around at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
that's something that I'm doing differently. Just being present. And part of being present is what I said earlier, just being there, doing things, changing diapers, bathing, playing with them, running around with them, all the little things, kids really appreciate it. And my plan is to do that, as his kids get older, teenager, just, hang out now. Once they get to teenager levels, even before that, you're going to say, all right, go away. Let me, hang with my friends. But until that happens, their world has already been shaped mentally and spiritually, right?
Exactly.
So that's something you definitely. And then another thing is talking about challenges to other men, people.
Yeah.
We know, people at this day and age who have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids,
Yeah.
our friends we grew up with, we have like a text chat with different people. And we just kind of, push ideas around. What did you do with this at this time? Like say
I
there's
like
a
that. I
couple
like
that
that a
has
lot.
like,
Yeah.
a 6 or 7, 8-year-old. What did you do, recently? This is within the last 6 months. I'm going to say it on this podcast because we have a friend who has an oldest daughter who's in a preteen years. And I asked him, when was the time you talked to your child about sex? Things like that men, at least in the past, never, my parents never talked to us about stuff
Nope.
like that.
Actually, they told you, probably told you, well, if you were a woman, they told you to stay away from them.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
They say, don't look at women, read your book.
Yeah.
That's how things were.
Figure it out.
You'll figure it out because they say
We'll help you figure it
because
out.
we figured it out.
Yeah.
You guys are going to figure it out too. That is how things were. So I'm gonna edit that a little bit, and I'm gonna have an open conversation with my daughter and my son.
Yeah.
About
That's important.
and it's
Especially
just
also think in
transparency
this generation. I think our generation was different, right? There's even this new generation that's going to be completely different, exposed to so many different things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's okay. Those are good. Those are good. So I think just on maybe the last thing on this part is how are you all making space for your own individual identities while, raising a family. Like, Obi, I know before this episode you were in the gym, like, okay,
right there.
so that's your thing. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
I go to the gym.
Still trying to just maintain some sanity in
Yeah.
the madness of this thing we're doing together called life, Cooking is what always keeps me centered. So not that I'm throwing down every day, but
No, but I will say, like, one of the things that I thought about, sorry, okay, is that
Yeah.
every time I've come to your home when I lived in Maryland, you've always offered me food. And that's like, for me, I think that that's such a, like, not everyone does it. I'll tell you that. Like, not everybody, not to
that's
say
true.
it, like it's a, whatever. But I think that it's a trait to notice that every time you're in somebody's home, they're like, oh, do you want to eat this? Like, I have this, even if it's like plantain chips or whatever, you're
Chin
always
chin.
like, oh, this, come on, eat this. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, she always trying to feed somebody, but it's cute. I'll take it. But yeah, so that's something that I've noticed.
No, it's like the whole thing too,
Yeah.
trying to feed 3 hungry boys at the same time. Now two kids who want to eat
kids, yeah.
everything, But so and that's also something too that I'm hoping that in time, like our children pick up on, Uju, when she sees me in the kitchen, I'm hoping that she'll try to pick up on some of that trait as she then becomes, as she's growing up, becomes a preteen, teenager, and adult.
He should learn how to cook.
Yeah,
as well.
that's what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
OC as
The
well.
guy should not be out of this
I
equation.
do a little something,
You do a little something.
thing
A little
out there.
Yeah,
I'm
he does.
perfecting it, I can expand a little bit to see, but I dab a little bit, as they say. But like my son, hopefully, is gonna catch on to that because I want him to be raised as a man, but as a new age man, meaning keeping your manhood and pitching in, helping out your significant other are not contradictory.
Yes.
They're not contradictory. So you can do both. You can do both. But I think a lot of people just need that kind of extra push and they need that exposure.
Wow. Okay. I love that. So let's start to round up. I wanted to kind of look ahead, right? So what are you both, like dreaming about right now, personally or professionally? Like, what is something that you're looking forward to, whether it's like a joint project or a passion that you're working on? Like, what is something like that that you're planning on?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for one, I mean, in Mike, I'll start with just for what I do. I hope to be like a partner one day.
Okay.
To have like a number of shares in the practice. That way, I can make more operational decisions in terms of how
Mm-hmm.
the practice is run. On a wide level. Do
You're
like
about to say so I can make more money. Oh, okay, that's fine too. Yeah.
oh well, that is making more money
I was
actually,
like,
but
this Igbo boy, what's happening
yeah,
here?
making more
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
That way. Yeah. So yes.
Yeah.
And then one is I do have like a side hustle. I do like remote reads in New Jersey. Echocardiograms and echobrachial indices, Holter monitors and things like that. So hopefully that's expanded. But and then the other thing is just and I'm about and Olga bounced this idea off of this is her idea, but podcasting.
Okay.
That's something that
Hopefully with
hopefully
time.
with
I can see it
time,
though. I can see it.
yeah, can
Hello,
be a thing as
hello,
well.
When it takes
medical
a little bit
podcast.
It's
closer.
because, and I wasn't thinking about any of
Or a
that
couple
Yeah.
podcasts. It doesn't have to be medically
before I
centered.
met
No,
this.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
we're so enamored with you though, Choma, and like what you do. I mean, this is not
mhm,
easy, first and foremost. Well, I'm sitting here and I'm learning the
Mm.
tactics, the techniques, the
yeah,
energy that you're pouring
Yeah.
into this because I know it takes a good amount of time, but
Yeah.
it's time that you're putting into this project because you're passionate about this. So that's something I'm hoping that
You
in
guys
time that
can.
we'll probably get to do as a joint venture.
I think you
We
guys would be
were
great at it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I don't
oh
know if
shucks.
I'm gonna be as good as you though.
Nah, you
Mhm.
So
guys
I'm
will be fine.
taking notes. I'm taking
Yeah.
notes.
Maybe at that time
Um,
you guys can invite me as a guest.
Oh,
And maybe I'll drag along somebody
yeah.
else. We'll
You
see.
know, I
yeah.
said like side
Yeah.
hustles, like you said, hoping that as I advance more and more in my career, because we're just budding physicians, if you will.
Yep.
I finished training 2019,
Hmm.
graduated from fellowship, finished his in 2020
Yep.
during the
Yeah.
pandemic. So we're only about what, 6 years, 5 years
Yes.
post our training,
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're hoping in due time, maybe 10, 15 years from now.
Yep.
The other thing I'm very passionate about is philanthropic projects.
Mm.
In the past, like when I was in residency in New York, I
Mm-hmm.
flew with a group to Kenya for a
Mm-hmm.
mission trip. I'm hoping to um
Do more of
connect
those
with
things.
the
Yeah.
same one of the leaders from that team actually reached out not so long ago
Mm-hmm.
and had mentioned a group called Global First Responders. They travel over the world. They were in
Mm-hmm.
Brazil last year. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're going to different places in South America, India, Namibia, Gambia between now and next year. Tanzania is hope happens to be one of the countries that they're
Mm-hmm.
also looking to go into. So please look them up if you know of anyone that's interested in this
Yeah.
venture in this
Yeah.
project, Global First Responders. There's a trip to Tanzania next year, which I'm hoping that Obi and I will get to be a part of. And so for me, if I'm thinking, what I would like my life to look like 10, 15, 20 years down the line, is
Mm-hmm.
that every summer or some part of the year when I
You're
can,
doing something
I
like
go
that.
back to
Yeah.
Nigeria, like to our
Mm-hmm.
home country. I know things are not the most stable right now, but
Mm-hmm.
when they do
When I
stabilize, and I
did.
believe that time is coming, right?
Yeah.
To go back and give back to like the village where my parents are from,
Mm-hmm.
help out in hospitals, take
Mm-hmm.
part in cases where I'm delivering patient-centered care for
Yeah.
individuals that have, almost next to nothing,
Yeah.
because there's a joy and there's a light in the eyes of those people who are out there that
Mm-hmm.
that need that sort of care, that would otherwise not be available. So to give
Yeah.
back in some form or fashion in the medical field,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's something that I'm really passionate and looking forward to
To
doing.
to piggyback off of that, there is a yearly, at least in my father's village, we do a medical mission as part of the organization that I'm a part of, which is Nemo Town Development Union (NTDU). So
Okay.
that's a organization that amongst Nigerians where
Mm-hmm.
we give back to where we're from. So every year, every December, there's a medical mission where
Mm-hmm.
patients are seen about
Very well
you
organized.
very
Yeah.
well organized. This is between like 800 to 1,000 patients are seen
Hmm.
every year.
In
Mm-hmm.
Anambra
And
State.
we in Anambra State in Nemo, which is where my dad's from, which is my association, right? So we donate every year. We've been
Hmm.
donating since about 2022. And
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to donate,
Yeah.
resources, but it's another thing
Yeah.
to actually be there
Be
On the
there.
ground.
on the ground.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to expand that. We're hoping to, set up something to where Oge's dad is from Orifite. So, hoping
Mm-hmm.
to kind of, give funds and resources and ourselves to be on the ground in the Orifite General Hospital, things like that. So there's a lot of work to be done, but you have to start somewhere.
I agree.
from there.
I really like that because I think it's, those of us in the diaspora, there's a lot of talk about like giving, there's a lot of talk about like remittances. We send money back, we
Yeah.
send money back, we send money back,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
that is
Mhm.
completely valued and they make a huge impact. There's a lot of economic analysis that have been done about the impact of remittances. But I think things like actually like activities and projects and training other health professionals and using the knowledge that you've gained, in the Western world to take it back and really like, but not in like a top down way, but in a way of
Sure.
like this is how I learned it. What are you all doing, and how can we kind of find a happy medium where we're still keeping it kind of, because you also have to think about cultural context and everything. Because things
Exactly.
that work in the US may not really work in Kenya or
Right.
wherever else. But I think all of these things are important. I really, really love that you guys are looking to do that. I think that's amazing. So I hope that you get to do the trip next year. That would be amazing.
So too.
So that would be great. So I think my maybe next, the final question is, what legacy do you hope your children will remember or carry forward from your lives, or just, from you guys
So,
right now? Because that may change.
yeah, I would say giving back in a God-fearing way. That would be what we want these kids to take, because we all have high expectations for our kids. You know, college, graduate school, all those kind of things. If you don't have the sensibilities, if you don't have the spirit and the capabilities to apply your training, it might as well not be worth it. So we're hoping to raise physically strong, smart kids who are
God-fearing.
God-fearing kids, but also have them strong spiritually. They're very humble individuals.
Yeah.
They give back to the community. Each one reach one, especially as minorities. It's super, super, super important. But they also do it in a way that they're not degrading towards others, because there's more than one occasion where we want to have certain things be done, but then there's a sense of this person's putting down this person. We don't want that either. So it's very hard to do, but we're up for the task. We're blessed to have these resources. Yogi has amazingly humble parents. I have amazing humble parents, and we came together, we believe, for many reasons, but one of the reasons is this. And we're just hoping that they can teach their kids something similar as well, because look, the era changes. We're watching Gen Z and Gen Alpha come up. Eventually, I guess it's going to be a Gen Beta in the next 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know. So the times change, where Gen Alpha has spent their entire infancy and childhood now growing up looking at screens.
Social media.
We've never had that generation before.
Yeah, we didn't.
It's the first
We
time.
were, I think
Social
we're the
media.
last generation. We're the
that
last
has
generation
repercussions.
to remember what it was like not to have like a phone or like
Can you imagine?
So yeah, so
imagine.
all those things are important. We want our kids to enjoy going to church every Sunday.
But not to be glued to the screen.
Yeah,
Like,
not to be.
I would hope and imagine that they have the kind of childhood we have. I know it's weird saying that because we're in a different era, right? But like you rightly said, like I remember a time period where we didn't grow up with screens, just like you said. iPad did not allow that to happen.
Yeah, you had was a television, and the television
That's it.
and the television came on at 4 o'clock. That was when
At 4 o'clock. And how many channels were even?
Yeah, you probably had 3, maybe.
That's it, maybe. You're watching Kiddie Vision 101, and then that's about it, But for them to go outside and play outside, really go and discover what the outdoors, what nature has to offer. But then also when it comes to excelling in studies, that's important too. Like that's key. But I don't want them to be pressured into thinking that, because mommy is DPM, daddy's DO, they have to both be dog. No, like just be great at anything. If you're going to be the next great tennis player, which I love tennis, I'm very passionate about that sport, but I'm not going to pressure any of my kids to doing that, right? No pressure. But if that is your destiny, that's your calling. So be it. It doesn't have to be in healthcare. It could be in finance. It could be in law. It could be in art. It could be in
I mean, could they be the next Thames, maybe? Are we okay with that?
Well, there's
exactly.
I love that. I love that. So my last question then, and I ask this question to all of my guests, is if your journey as a couple had a theme song, what would it be?
My goodness. Wow, I didn't see that coming.
I guess joy is coming.
Joy is coming.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
I love that song.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a bubbly song. That's a great theme.
See, I feel like maybe this is like, maybe it's only been like 2 or like I've had 10 episodes and I've asked this question to every guest, and there's only like maybe 2 songs that I've known. So this is maybe the second one. Because every time they say a song, I'm like, what song is that one? So yeah, I love Joy's coming
Great
in.
choice.
Good job. Good job. Well, guys, I have really, really enjoyed talking to you guys. I'm so grateful that you took the time to share your stories, your insight, your wisdom. I mean, obviously, both of you are so authentic, and that just shines through in this episode. So I think everything you've shared would be so useful to people listening. I think at whatever stage in life that they're in, because I think it's just a lot of this is just so important. So it'll resonate with many, and I'm just so appreciative that I have you guys in my life. So yeah.
Thank you for
Love
having us on this podcast. We've been looking forward to this for many weeks now.
Yes, I'm
And
glad we
we're
finally did
deeply
it.
humbled. Finally.
No.
We're humbled you had us so much.
Yeah, of course. And I'm excited because I can't wait to be on y'all's podcast. So when you guys are ready, let me know.
Come on.
I'll be on there. But yeah, but thanks guys. Any last words before we close out?
Yeah. No, this is a great thing that you're doing. Honestly, this is a great platform.
Keep doing it, keep rocking it.
Yeah. Wishing
Thank
you a lot of success down the road. I can see this launching into something global stage.
Scale.
Yeah, seriously.
Amen.
We're proud of you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Okay, well, let me let you guys go. But thanks for being here and thanks for listening, everyone. And we will catch you next time. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.